ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परम ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ओं नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। ओं सदाशिवसमारम्भां व्यासशङ्करमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम ओम नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम यैरिमे गुरुभिः पूर्वं पदवाक्यप्रमाणतः व्याख्याताः सर्ववेदान्ताः तान्नित्यं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। ओम श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। ॐ विदितानमया विशदैककला न च किञ्चन काञ्चनमस्ति गुरो द्रुतमेव विधेहि कृपां सहजां भव शङ्करदेशिकमे शरणम्। समस्तब्रह्मविद्या आचार्येभ्यो नमः ऋषिभ्यो नमः मुनिभ्यो नमः गुरुभ्यो नमः। अथर्वऋषये नमः मण्डूकमहर्षये नमः गौडपादाचार्यवर्याय नमः आद्यशङ्करसद्गुरवे नमः अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ अथ अथर्ववेदान्तर्गत माण्डूक्य उपनिषद पारायणम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ ओमित्येतदक्षरमिदगं सर्वं तस्योपव्याख्यानं भूतं भवद्भविष्यत् इति सर्वमोङ्कार एव। यच्चान्यत्रिकालातीतं तदप्योङ्कार एव। सर्वं हि एतद् ब्रह्म अयमात्मा ब्रह्म सोऽयमात्मा चतुष्पात् जागरितस्थानः बहिष्प्रज्ञः सप्ताङ्गः एकोनविंशतिमुखः स्थूलभुक् वैश्वानरः प्रथमपादः स्वप्नस्थानः अन्तःप्रज्ञः सप्ताङ्गः एकोनविंशतिमुखः प्रविविक्तभुक् तैजसः द्वितीयपादः यत्र सुप्तो न कञ्चन कामं कामयते न कञ्चन स्वप्नं पश्यति तत् सुषुप्तं सुषुप्तस्थानः एकीभूतः प्रज्ञानघन एव आनन्दमयो हि आनन्दभुक् चेतोमुखः प्राज्ञः तृतीयपादः एष सर्वेश्वरः एष सर्वज्ञः एषोऽन्तर्यामी एष योनिः सर्वस्य प्रभवाप्यो हि भूतानां नान्तप्रज्ञं न बहिष्प्रज्ञं नोभयतः प्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञानगनं न प्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञम् अदृष्टम् अव्यवहार्यम् अग्राह्यमलक्षणमचिन्त्यम् अव्यपदेश्यमेकात्म प्रत्ययसारं प्रपञ्चोपशमं शान्तं शिवम् अद्वैतं चतुर्थं मन्यन्ते स आत्मा स विज्ञेयः। सोऽयमात्मा अधि अक्षरम् ओङ्कारः अधिमात्रं पादामात्राश्च मात्राश्च पादाः अकार उकारो मकार इति जागरितस्थानः वैश्वानरः प्रथम अकारः प्रथमा मात्रा आप्तेः आदिमत्वाद्वा आप्नोति वै सर्वान् कामान् आदिश्च भवति य एवं वेद। स्वप्नस्थानः तैजसः उकारः द्वितीया मात्रा उत्कर्षादुभयत्वाद्वा उत्कर्षति ह वै ज्ञानसन्ततिं समानश्च भवति न अस्य ब्रह्मवित्कुले भवति य एवं वेद। सुषुप्तस्थानः प्राज्ञः मकारः तृतीया मात्रा मितेः अपितेः वा मिनोति ह वा इदगं सर्वम् अवेदिश्च भवति य एवं वेद। मात्रः चतुर्थः अव्यवहार्यः प्रपञ्चोपशमः शिवः अद्वैतः एवम् ओङ्कारः आत्मा एव संविशत्यात्मना आत्मानं य एवं वेद य एवं वेद ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ अथ अलातशान्त्याख्यं चतुर्थप्रकरणम् ॐ अजेसाम्ये तु ये केचिद् भविष्यन्ति सुनिश्चिताः ते हि लोके महाज्ञानाः तच्च लोको न गाह्यते अजेष्वजम् असङ्क्रान्तं धर्मेषु ज्ञानमिष्यते यतो न क्रमते ज्ञानम् असङ्गं तेन कीर्तितम् अणुमात्रेऽपि वैधर्म्ये जायमाने अविपश्चितः असङ्गता सदा नास्ति किमुता वर्णच्युतिः अलब्धा वर्णाः सर्वे धर्माः प्रकृतिनिर्मलाः आदौ बुद्धास्तथा मुक्ताः बुध्यन्ते इति नायकाः क्रमतेन हि बुद्धस्य ज्ञानं धर्मेषु तायिनः सर्वे धर्मास्तथा ज्ञानं नैतद्बुद्धेन भाषितम्. Hari Om. Salutations to entire Guru Parampara, the Rishi Parampara. Keeping on this path relentlessly, assessing ourselves, how much we are able to progress in our experience. Before that, how much we are able to progress in our intense efforts. Before that, how much we are able to progress in our conviction. Before that, how much we are able to progress in our understanding. Before that, how much we are able to progress in our intense longing, desire for understanding, and before that, how much we are progressing in our continuity, consistency, relentlessness in this spiritual sadhana. All of them put together alone will make us subtler, deeper, introverted in trying to understand the subject matter of these Upanishads as well as pursue it diligently to experience it. This all happens by the grace of God as well as one's own due effort, genuine effort. And Upanishad Vedya Atma Brahma Vastu is always so sublime and subtle. Even to conceptualize it itself takes a lot of time. Even to catch an idea that there is something beyond what we see as gross, subtle, causal. Even to reach to the subtle level itself is a big deal. Because unless one devalues the gross, one cannot enter into the subtle and one cannot understand that the subtle is more real and important than the grass. And unless one transcends even the subtle in its importance, that he will not try to eliminate the cause of this subtle called as the cause. And only when we have to sufficient extent achieved the reduction in the causal, therefore the reduction in the subtler, therefore devaluing of the grasser, that we will be able to listen, understand, comprehend, and try to pursue that which is beyond all these three of gross, subtle, and causal. It's a long process, patient process. When we have our Guru, our God, our Shastras with us, along with our own the patience, our own loving liking for the spirituality or the truth, how much or long the distance may be, how much of the efforts they may take, we will be able to put those efforts and keep on traveling those distances with all the what you say the faith and patience. And when one that way pursues, as till now with our efforts, definitely to some extent we have understood. In the same way, with the consistency of efforts, we'll definitely grow in terms of our understanding as well as our conviction. Who knows, in this very life, we may truly start the deeper innermost journey of even meditation. Meditation is focusing on the self which is beyond everything. The upasana of Saguna Sakara, the japa ityadi, even trying to understand the self as told by the truth or by the Shastras, all of that also is not meditation. Something beyond. After all this is called as meditation. Who knows, we may even understand and try for that also. May it all happen to all of us. That is the only prayer and wish we can continuously, consistently do. Now, in this 98th mantra, 99th, 200, this three mantra, 100, we have seen already, but just for one reminder for us, alabdhavaranaha sarve dharmaha prakruti nirmalaha adau buddhaha tatha muktaha buddhyante iti nayakaha. Skype, is there anybody who is recording it? Skype, somebody can reply me? Okay, okay. Hmm. Now just be aware of the shlokas, literal meaning and little of bhashya. Sarve dharmaha means the self in all. Though it is one without second, but we are looking it from this standpoint of the multiple jivas. Therefore, we are using the word plural. That's what Karika Kara was doing right from beginning, only to test us. Though he is talking about ajatha ekameva dvayam, still he is using the plural word of dharma. Now, the self in all, rather the self, what is it? Alabdhavaranaha sarve. It is such a sublime thing that there is no avarana of the Maya to it. And only when Maya does the avarana, then there comes the vikshepa, which is the malinya or the impurity. In terms of ahamidam vritti bheda. Because there is no avarana itself in the self, therefore there is no mala in that of the vikshepa, therefore nirmala. Therefore avarana rahityam, the mala rahityam. Both are natural to the self in every of us. That is what we have to cognize and identify with. That I am already eternally existing, never avruta self, never impurified self. Already it is there. I need not remove the cover as if, nor even have to purify it. It is pure, immaculate, and nothing can cover it. It's only the delusion. Like none of the snake can cover the rope. It is a delusory snake which is appearingly temporarily as if covering, concealing the rope. In the same way, the delusory jiva with the delusory delusion is creating the delusion as if the self is covered, as if the covered self is impurified with its multiplicity of aham and idam, and subsequently the variety of the idam and the aham going through those variety in three avasthas, and in each avastha so many experiences. So sarve dharma alabdha varnaha sarve dharma prakriti nirmalaha. So there is self in me which is never covered by the maya adi. In maya, the avarana as well as the vikshepa. So the biggest maya is thinking that the maya is real, that it is covering Paramatma. The removal of the maya is to know that there is no maya which can cover Paramatma, which can impurify the Paramatma as duality. To this ever existing truth, we have to awaken to. Right now, we are slept to that truth and we are dreaming the world of idam and aham. Alabdhavarna sarve dharma. Alabdhavarna sarve dharma. and Sarve Dharma Prakriti Nirmala. And it's great, and it is how it is that the self in us always is pure and never covered. Then only we are able to reach to that. And it is always like that. Like a diamond is always there in that treasure. Therefore, only we are able to reach. All our efforts is to reach to that diamond which is ever there. And this diamond of the self is in us always. None of the avaranas can do the avruta, none of the impurities can impurify it. It is such a pure, immaculate thing. There is nothing other than it to do the impurification of it. And it is such a huge, vast, bright, brilliant thing that no thing can do the avarana of it. In fact, the seeming avaranas also are illumined in the light of that. Like the clouds are illuminated in the light of sun only. In the same way, the upadhis, all of them are sustaining, existing, doing all their functions in the presence of that self. It's only the value given to the upadhi, upadhyukta jiva bhava, and jiva's outer external life, that as if making us feel that the self is covered, self is distanced from us. No, nothing can cover self, nothing can make the self far away from us. Never ever the discovery of self is impossible or difficult. It is as easy as seeing the world when you open the eyes. It is as easy as when you touch a thing with our spashendriya intact, that we will know it is hot or cold. It's only just turn the attention to that. It is such a simple thing that it is always there and it is me. All the distances in time and the efforts were because of our not paying attention to it. The moment you turn to it, we discover that it is me. That much uncovered it is, that much purified it is. Alabdha avarna sarve dharmaha prakriti nirmalaha. So our self in us. So that nirmala, by prakriti nirmala, self is me. By prakriti, the anirmala or malayukta jiva is not me. A never coverable self is me, not the jiva who is covered by ignorance or vasanas. I am not a jiva who is ignorant of Paramatma and identify with the upadhis. That is Ishvara's Leela. I am not that. I am the self who is illuminating even this jiva bhava, this avarna, even this, the jiva's upadhitadatmya, and living as if a life of bondage. That hero in the movie goes through all. He becomes beggar, or he becomes a rich person, or he is tied or bound, or is in a respectful, reverential place. All of them are known by the actor who is playing that role. And none of the roles are covering or binding the essential nature of that actor. In the same way, I, the real self, am never bound by any of Jiva Bhava Upadhi. Through the Upadhi, the outer expressions of Vishwa, Tejas, and Prajna. To that, let us start voting. To that, let us start giving value and importance. That is what said in all these Prakarana Stotras by Adi Shankara, whether he says Parabrahma Nityam Tadevaham Asmi, or whether he says Ahamevaham Abheya, or when he says Siddhanda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham, or when he says Iti Vedanta Dindimaha. Now, what is said there is establishing strongly in that self which is always there, me. That is what the effort required only to avoid the wrong habits which we generated earlier of considering ourselves as Jiva and Upadhi and Samsari. To remove that only this effort, that's it. And that also little practice with faith we do and continuously, then the habit of it starts happening. When the habit of I am the self happens, I am not the not self happens, and stick to that, so we can see the not self totally starts going away from us, and we start purely experiencing ourself, which is eternally there, which is always there. And these four words, alabdha varna, then prakriti nirmalaha, and then the other two words, adau buddha, tatha mukta. Adau buddha, eternally it is awakened to itself. Tatha mukta. How can there be anything which can bind the subtlest infinite self? The infinite cannot be bound by finite. The subtlemost cannot be binding by the gross. Adau Buddha, Adau Mukta. We are already that. The treasure is always is ours. But just claim it. Turn towards and claim it. That's it, the final Vedanta. But of course, you have to reach to that level, inevitably the external sadhanas of Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga to purify. And for a long time, the Jnana Yoga, to get convinced of this, we have to do it. All these were required because we went far away from ourselves. To trace back these efforts, not to create the self, not to liberate the self, not to lighten the self, enlighten. Self is always there, it is full of light and brightness, never ever it is covered by anything, limited by anything, and it's never impurified by anything. That is me. Adau Buddha Tata Muktaha Buddhyante iti Nayakaha, and those are the one, the real leaders or the heroes who have experienced it too, and they gave it to us. So the awakening of the self is not the awakening of self. The sentence saying that awakening of the self is like the mountain is standing, or is like the sun is shining. There is no kriya in the sun involved in making it shine. Nor that the shining stops if any kriya stops. Never ever the sun was dark that some kriya was initiated to make him start appearing shining. Sun is shining. If you can understand that sentence. Sun is shining is an eternal thing. There is no two things like shining and sun. In the same way, awakening to the self is not that the self was forgotten, or the self was covered, or the self was bound, or it is impurified. It is always as it is. That is the meaning of the self being avyakrita. Ajara, amara, avyakrita, ajaha. These are the four called unborn, unmodifying, never becoming old, never dying. The nature of self, which is always there. That drushti, the atyanta sukshma drushti, we have to develop. First to understand, second to accept, third, try to be that. In trying to become aware of that convinced subtlemost being in us, we become that. That sukshma mana, sukshma buddhi, we have to develop. Before sukshma buddhi, ekagrata, we have to develop. All our efforts are to bring that single pointedness of mind. Only Viveka Vairagya, where I am not interested in anything of this world, that alone can bring our mind to ekagrata. After the mind is brought to the ekagrata alone, the sukshmata will come. With that sukshma buddhi, I the perceiver, I the seeker, try to comprehend the self. In the comprehension of the self, the comprehending instrument of called buddhi, and I who was using buddhi, both of us merge in the experience of that, which is even sukshma atita. So drishyate tu agriyaya buddhya, sukshmaya buddhya, sukshma darshibhihi. Sukshma darshanam, that ability. Like every scientist is a Sukshmadarshi, every painter is a Sukshmadarshi. It's only a canvas is there, brush is there, paint is there. But in that canvas, in the brush and paint, he has a subtle darshana that using them a beautiful art can be made. In this world, every creativity is the result of Sukshma darshanam. Again, which is the result of the ekagrata. Again, which is the result of not valuing distractions. In the same way, when we don't get distracted, when you become ekagra, when you become the sukshma darshi, in that sukshma darshana, we will be able to visualize that self experience. So this is how those who have realized, they explained. I was, Jiva is a mithya. I am identified with upadhis and working, and because of asanas, I was going through. So many janma marana is actually mithya, unreal. I am always the self only. Any example? I am always the gold. So many ornaments on me were generated out of mithya. I am always the mud. So many parts, etc., are created, imagined on me out of mithya only. What is the meaning of mithya? Those shapes and forms come and go, while the shapes of parts came and went. I, as mitti or mud, never changed. That is my essential nature. Else, all was mithya only. Mithya is an appearance. Always it is a water. It's only appearance that it became cloud, it became rain, it became glacier, it became river. In the river, it became the ripple, wave, bubble. All of them are only imagined on me the water. I was ever water. All of them are mithya. That mithya never troubled me, never touched me, never made me to lose my essential nature. Think about it from this angle. The self in me is always self only. All else, just like every day we invoke a doer in us for doing a karma. Once the work is over, that doer is over. Another doer is invoked, another karma is done, it is over. So these doers are coming, going, doing it all. But I am remaining the same always. An example. In the same way, I always am the self. Jiva is also a bhava, not satya. Upadita Adatma also is a bhava, not satya. Like the snakeness is a bhava, not satya. Everything in this world, everything is a bhava. Cloth is a bhava, not satya. Thread is satya. All the utensils which we use are only bhava, not satya. What is satya is the material with which, the metal with which it is made. So to entire world is a bhava. That's why it's called bhavanam, not satya. And we give value to it, therefore it's appearing valuable. We give reality to it, therefore it's appearing as real. We are superimposing on that the sukhatva, therefore it is as if giving sukha. These are very subtle thoughts. Huh? Only when we go into the deep level of contemplation, these understandings will come. When those understandings are really valued, then in a split moment, what happens is all the value given is just withdrawn from we find that liberation within ourselves. Like you are my friend, and I am attached to you for 30, 20 years. Through that attachment, so many interactions, mutual helps were done. But all that is just bhavana. It worked, that's different. That's what samsara. But the entire basis is only the bhavana that you are my friend. We maintained it, and you can give a different coloring of reality to it. We can attribute benefits to it. We can make a lot of colorfulness to that. So many things. First, I say you are my friend. Then we say go together. We go and have food in hotel. We travel to all over the country. ये सब बाद में डेवलप्ड है. But you are you, am I. You are my friends of bhavana. But that worked, is it not? But having a friend as beautiful it is in Vyavahara, so ugly it is in spirituality. Because the friendliness distracts or disturbs or differentiates you and me. You're not my friend, you are me. There is a ultimate liberation bliss only in you being me, not you are a friend or any other relation. I am the Jagat is a realization. Not that Jagat is mine or Jagat is other than me, then Jagat is friend to me. All this Vaishamya Drushti, all that Vaisharadhya leading to the impurity. We have already seen. So this is the load of this shloka can be discussed hours together. But I just gave an idea how when you understood the literal meaning of shloka and bhashya, how we can become deeper in our contemplation to remove all the wrong notions and arrive at the right deepest understanding. What is the right deepest final understanding is truth. Truth alone is. Neither it was covered, nor it is multiplied, nor anything has happened on that. Because it is one without second. न करता है उसमें, न भोगता है, न कर्म इंद्रिय है, न कुछ कर्म हो सकता है उसमें, न उसको और कुछ बदल सकते. You understand? That is what is me. क्रमतेन हि बुद्धस्य ज्ञानं धर्मेषु तायिनः सर्वे धर्मास्तथा ज्ञानं नैतद्बुद्धेन भाषितम्. That's what we exhaustively studied. कि क्रमतेन हि बुद्धस्य ज्ञानं धर्मेषु तायिनः बुद्धस्य ज्ञानं धर्मेषु न क्रमते. Here the dharmeshu is in the objects of the world. So Buddhasya jnanam dharmeshu na kramate. The experiencer, self-experienced person's experience or knowledge, dharmeshu jnaneshu na kramate means that it doesn't fit in the knowledge of the worldly objects. Because in the objective knowledge there is triputi required. In this, the triputis should not be there only. And from that side, if you see, there the triputi is required. Without that, you can't see. And to know the self, you cannot have the triputi. Triputi hai, then only you have the knowledge of the dharma or the objects of the world. Triputi disappearance alone is the knowledge of the self. Therefore, as said by Buddha, there is no thing in the world. So by that, what is he doing? Triputi Nasha he is doing. There is no one known knowledge. But who is the one who appeared as this Triputi earlier? And who is the one who is now witnessing the absence of this Triputi? You have to answer it. No, that is me. Kramatena hi buddhasya jnanam dharmeshu tainah. In one mantra it is tai, another is tapi. Okay. क्रमतेने बुद्धस्य ज्ञानं धर्मेषु तायिनः सर्वे धर्माः तथा ज्ञानम न एतद् बुद्धेन भाषितम्. Hmm. This is what it is. So, nahi kramate buddhasya paramarthadarshinah jnanam vishayantareshu dharmeshu dharma samstham savitari iva prabha तायिनः तायः अस्य अस्तीति तायि संतानवतः निरन्तरस्य आकाशकल्पस्य इति अर्थः. पूजावतो वा प्रज्ञावतो वा सर्वे धर्माः आत्मानः आकाशकल्पत्वात् न क्रमन्ते क्वचिदपि अर्थान्तरे इति अर्थः. What is the very interesting meaning of this is what? The Atma Jnana never falls like the Vishaya Jnana. Again I am reading. The Atma Anubhava Jnana, Jnana alone is Anubhava there. Doesn't fall to the level like that of the Dharma Jnana means Vishaya Jnana. Dharma means Vishayas here. And what are there in that Vishaya Jnanam? As we said, some Rupanamatmaka Vishaya should be there. Second is, most important is, it should be other than me. Is it not? Then only the Vishaya Jnana can be gained. Then I should use the Upadis. Then only I can I can have the knowledge of that one. And I should separately exist as the knower of it. The knower me should be there. The instrument must be there. The object should be other than me. And the Upadi should be focused on that for the knowledge of that Dharma or the object of the world. See, and a thought process is required there. Sometimes, if the object is grasa, even indriyas are required. Is it not? So, tainaha jnanam dharmeshu na kramate. What is the meaning of it? The knowledge of the experience of the self is not like this knowledge of the world. All these are not there in this. First, in the objective knowledge, the knower known difference is there. Here, there is no knower known difference. Here, it is effort required. There is no effort required. Here, the upadis are required. Here, upadi is not required. Here, the presence of the mind or the thoughts is required. It is not there here. Tainaha jnanam dharmeshu na kramate. This is a sentence. In the same way, dharmasya jnanam taina na kramate. Same way, the process of knowing of the objective world, process of knowing the objective world is invalid in the process of knowing the self. Just like the process of knowing self is invalid in the process of knowing the objective world. So, buddhasya tainaha jnanam dharmeshu na kramate. And this knowledge objective world is as long as your thoughts are there, your memory is there, your instruments are there, and till the another thought doesn't come, till that only it is there. The moment another thought or another perception comes, this knowledge has gone away, the new knowledge comes. Like when I'm seeing chair, chair knowledge is there. When I see table, table knowledge has come, chair knowledge has gone away. This is the dharma jnana, means objects, knowledge of the objects. So the knowledge of the object jaisa hai, the knowledge of the self or the subject vaisa nahi hai. This is what he is trying to say. Nahi kramate buddhasya paramartha darshana jnanam vishayantareshu dharmeshu dharma samstam savitariva prabha. It is like the relation between sun and his light. The sun and his light is a grammatical English way of saying One may even accept that also. But in that, so many fallacies are not there. Is it not? The light is not other than sun, independent of sun, apart from the sun. Between them, there is no duality, and there is nothing like sun is doing something to gain his light. And if something is not done, the light of the sun goes away. All of them are not there. Sun's light, like my house. No, as long as it's on my name, it is my house. If it is sold out, if it is bulldozed in the earthquake, if it goes away, if the government occupies, मेरा नहीं है ना वो. As long as it's a conditioning, so long it is mine. When it's gone, gone. So the self, the light of the sun is not like that. That somebody takes away the light of sun, or somebody gave it, or it has got created from the light itself, from within, from the sun within. Are you getting point? In the same way, the experience of the self for the self-experienced saint is such that the self and its experience and the experiencer, they are not three. Like sun and sun's light are not two. These are the ones we are attentive, which will help us when we are deeply into the meditation of the self. In fact, these are the only ones which help us there to transcend the effort as well as the triputi. Then what happens? Suddenly the Jiva Bhava dissolves, the effortfulness dissolves, even the vritti also dissolves, even the trying, the effort to understand also dissolves. Just a miracle happens. That is called experiencing. And when the experience is gained, this is what the words of the saint. I'm always that. I was never anything other than that. And that's what is called as I was in delusion that I became Jiva. It's never that I became Jiva and then I am traced back to become Atma. It's a delusion that the rope appeared or became snake. It never became snake, my dear. It's ever rope. So how much strength this sentence gives, you see? The strength given by this sentence is hundreds, thousands powerful than all our struggles, where we are trying to manage our samsara, trying to manage our jiva bhava, trying to manage our spiritual sadhana. This is a funny thing. When I accept myself as jiva bound, then I have to do sadhana of getting out of upadhi and get into my identity with myself. This is essential to pull ourselves away from the vyavahara and dehadi upadhi. Later on, I am the jiva, I have to discover myself, also is an obstruction. Because, like, as long as I try to put my effort to sleep, so long the effort putting waker is awake. Will the sleep happen? As long as I am putting effort to sleep, the effort putting waker is available, is awake. Then will the sleep happen? It will not happen. So, to as long as the effortful jiva is keeping on putting his effort to know the self, the jiva continues. Self will not be realized. Then, how to solve this riddle? This is what is said. Very secretly, silently inside. Not an intellectual showing off to others, not to deceive oneself. Only after studying Shastras thoroughly that this adhikara or permission is given to say that I am already the self. I was only in ignorance and delusion that I was Jiva. I never became Jiva. There never was a chance for me to get identified with Upadhi, nor ever there was any chance for me to be a samsari to suffer. हाँ मैं आत्मा जो कभी बदल ही नहीं सकता वो हूँ तो मैं जीव कैसा बना? Then when will and how can I identify the upadhi? then how can there is a samsara for me? This thing we have to entertain more and more because that's the fact. By default, that's the fact. Need not feel shy about it, ashamed about it. It is not encouraged that much in the beginning stages because there will be a pseudo ego arrogance coming to continue the jiva bhava with an hallucination that I am the self in the beginning. Therefore, it's not taught. But when the Upanishad is concluding, that also the highest cadre Upanishad of Mandukya with the whole Karikas, at the end fag end, if the fag end thought is not given, then when will it be given? शादी हो रहा है, शादी के टाइम मंगलसूत्र बांधने का टाइम हुआ। अब मंगलसूत्र अब बांधोगे कि बाद में? यू कांट डाई द मंगलसूत्र एट एनी अदर टाइम। आते ही बिठा के चलो भाई मैं बांध देता हूँ, ऐसा नहीं होता। सो मेनी प्रोसेसेस आर देयर। When all processes are done at the time of tying Mangalsutra comes, now you can't postpone it there because that's the most crucial thing. So to all these sadhanas that I am not Deha, I am Jiva, as a Jiva I am identified with Upadhis, now I have to put my effort to withdraw the Upadhis by saying Neti Neti, by refusing to become a slave to the Upadhis through their demands. Yes, all is preparation up to Mangalasutra. What is Mangalasutra level here? Ki I am never changing self. Then when did I become Jiva? Change, never changing self cannot become Jiva, no? Because it's never change. Change हुआ तो ही कुछ बन सकते हैं ना. Only then Jiva will have a need of Upadhi. And only through the Upadhi will involve in the world of doing this or that. Then only he will be subjected for samsara of Janma Marana. Shankara Bhagavan's Prakarana Granthas talk from this angle. Many of them. Whether it is Brahmajnana, Valimala, it is Vedanta, Dindima, or all that we are to Nirvana Shatkam, Nirvana Manjari, all those texts are addressed to such a highly qualified seeker. You understand? It is not possible for you and I who are still at the body level caught up with our identity, laziness, insecurities, fears, bhoga. अब इतना कचरा जिसके अंदर है ना उनके लिए नहीं होता है. Now is expected to have cleared all these through variety of sadhanas, internal and external, and when is fully assured that no more the world is binding me, nor I am in the world bound, in that high level of internal freedom, this exercise, the final exercise is given. You are that. That's the meaning of Tattvamasi. Tvam Tadasi, not this. And to that high level disciple who is qualified, to whom the Guru gave Tattvamasi, that disciple alone undoubtedly experiences Aham Brahmas. Mm. So this was the mantra number 99. Kramate nahi buddhasya jnanam dharmeshu tainaha sarve dharmaha tatha jnanam. Sarve dharmaha tesham jnanam. Then na etad buddhena bhashitam. So ज्ञान ज्ञेय ज्ञातृ भेद रहितम परमार्थ तत्वम अद्वयम एतत् न बुद्धेन भाषितम. And before that, we have studied yesterday, but such a beautiful one it was. Worthy of saying once more, is it not? Ki all the selves in all the self in me is like what? Tatha dharmaha iti. How? Akasham iva. Listen carefully. We ourself is like Akash. How it was Akash iva? Achalam, avikriyam, niravayavam, nityam, advitiyam, asangam, adrushyam, agrahyam, asanayadi atitam, brahma. That is Atma Tattvam. Now, this is a sufficient data for a person who understands the literal meaning of these words in Sanskrit for contemplation. It's a beautiful. ये एक portion आपका ही लिख कर go into any secluded place, spend day in and day out in contemplation of it. All the layers of grossness dissolve, subtleness dissolve, causalness dissolve. Then the self is revealed. One is that. Now I have to Do lot of things now. Jnana Jnaya Jnatrubheda Rahitam Paramartha Tattvam Advayam. This is what conclusion of Bhagavan Shankara or Karikakara. There is a Paramartha Tattva, which is Advayam, one without second. And it is that in which there is no differentiation of the Jnata, Jnayam and Jnanam. Etat na buddhena bhashitam. Buddha had not spoken about it. That's what is the last line said by Karikakara, which Bhashakara is explaining. Naitat buddhena bhashitam. Then, what is commonality between we and Buddha? What is the differentiation between we and Buddha? Buddha has said Shunyam, but he did not talk about that Paramartha Satyama Atma Vastu, which is Jnana Jnatruveda Rahita. He said Shunyam Shunyam. But to what level we were together traveling, he says, Yadyapi, even though Bahya Artha Nirakaranam, rejection of all the names and forms of the things other than the self. Jnana Matra Kalpana cha. By Buddha, everything is that only Jnana Matra Kalpana, and every Artha which is Bahya is not true. To that level he came. Like we were studying thoroughly in Bhashya and Karikas, that everything is Manaspandana only. Is it not? Other than Manaspandana, no thing is real. And because of Manaspandana, the Abhasa is only there, not the reality. ALAATHA Spandana Rujvakra Abhasa. Manaspandana Namarupa Jagadabhasa. The Abhasa called as Rujvakra is unreal. There is no substance in that. So too, the Abhasa of the Jagat is unreal because there is no substance of its own in that. Any substance belongs to Paramatma only. Therefore, in this aspect of, they say everything is Manakalpana, we say everything is Manakalpana, not real. Therefore, the Jagra, Sapna, Sushupti Jagas are unreal. Both of them are accepted. They also, the Buddha and we also. But idam tu Paramartha Tattvam Advaitam Vedantu Cheva Vigneya Vitartaha. To the next of the Ekameva Advayam Paramartha Tattva, the Buddha had not entered into. Maybe in experience he must be Buddha enlightened. But while talking to the people or in his expressions, this is what not seen. He might have not given importance to that, though he experienced it, because of the context or the people to whom he was addressing. But that in later on period made his own beautiful theory as incomplete. Not only incomplete, it as if it is such a dull, saddest thing that you talk about Shunya. Everybody wants infinitude, fullness, and you are making everything Shunya and dropping them there. Like a sannyasi telling a very happy grahastha, and a very involved grahastha, यार संन्यास ले लो, गृहस्थ आश्रम छोड़ दो, बच्चे छोड़ो, पत्नी छोड़ो, नौकरी सब छोड़ो, और वो कह के चला गया वो. It is a wrong guidance. He should tell, beta, I सब छोड़ के you hold on to the spiritual path, the Lord, the Guru Bhagavan, then it is complete. No, when you reject everything as shunya, shunya, then it is feeling itself is so bad it is. The shunyata is regarding objectiveness. But the subjective self, in which there is no triputi, of Jnatru Jnana Jnaya, he is the one which is Purna, filling the entire universe. I am not a Shunya, as said by Buddha, but I am a Purna, as said by Veda, Upanishads. We don't have mantra, Shunyamidam, Shunyamida, Shunya, Shunyamudachate. We have Purnamada, Purnamidam, is it not? And no heart seeks Shunyata. Every heart, including that of Buddha, seeks Purnata only. Did Purna, what is experienced by the Buddha is Shunyam or Purnam? If he experience Shunyam, then what will he give it to others? Who wants it? You bought a box to me, and chalo, I am giving this box. Open it. What is there inside? Shunyam. बेवकूफ कोई लेगा क्या वो? Nobody will take. Therefore, Buddha, Shunyavada, our Shunyavada is same. But later on, Buddha stopped there, but we entered into Purnata. And this is only in Vedanta Shastras that is spoken. While rejecting the Karma Kanda because of the himsa was happening in that, somehow the Buddha, maybe helplessly or out of some or other timings or compulsion, रिजेक्टेड बिकॉज वेद में ही उपनिषद है ना, उपनिषदों को भी उन्होंने रिजेक्ट किया एंड ही एक्सप्लेन हिज ओन एक्सपीरियंस is nothing, there's no thinking, there's no thing, but actual experience is what? There's no thing, there's no thing, there's nothing. No, there's a being, there's a being, there's a being. I am the being, there's no thing other than me. This should have been his speech. He came up to there's no thing. But he did not add the next two things, that there is no thing other than me and I am the being, there is no thing other than me. That he could not say. Then that leaves a person in an emptiness. You can't be empty, Baba. You have to be full only. That is what he says here finally. Idam tu paramartha tattvam advaitam. This paramartha tattva ekamevadhyam brahma vedanteshu eva vigneyam ityartaha. It's only in Vedanta Upanishads it is available. Nowhere. Therefore, what is the summary? Only through the study of Vedanta, the Purna Ekameva Advayam Brahma, we have to experience. Nowhere else. And in the other, the Advaitins, they talk only Advaita, including Sankhyans and all. At least Buddha, though he is sometimes said as Nastika and he rejected Veda, etc. But here Karikakara is saying Buddha is better than others because he came up to the Shunyata of everything. But only thing is the Purnata he missed it. Others are not Shunya and not even talking about the Purna, but they are talking about the Dvaita, which is absolute ignorance complete. Half ignorance is Buddha, full ignorance is Dvaitins, full wisdom is Advaita. What is the half ignorance of Buddha? That he said Shunyata, but he didn't talk about the infinite self. You know, he talked about Kshanikavada, he talked about the Kalpita Mana, from the Mana only the world came, therefore there is no world actually, it's all mind made. That is what we exhaustively studied in Karikas. You need to repeatedly study it. That's what I said now. ALAATHA, SHANTHI, AACHAARYA, the example of Swapna, all of the Swapna, Druk, Vicharan, Dikshu, Dasha, Suvaistita, Nandajan, Svedjan, Vapi, Jivan, Pashadyan, Sada. To all those examples, Jagrat, Jagrat, Drushekshaniyaste, whatever the mantras came, is only proving that the world appears but not real. That's good. But what is that on which the world is appearing? If that is not spoken, then we are leading only to the emptiness. In terms of the Shunyata, that Dvaita fellow is better. At least is enjoying something at the gross level. That way. They would take the help of the Buddha Shunyavada and reject the Dvaitavada. And take the Upanishads Brahmavada and reject the Shunyavada. All this in first understanding and then experience. And we need not have any Buddhavada. We already have in Upanishads, the entire world is shown to us as the projection of the mind in all our Shastra. Much more before Buddha, everything has come. See, the knowledge of the self is not new or given by anyone. The saints and sages who awaken to that interpret it or explain it to it, the contemporary people in their language. And the language is different depending on which time it is given. The way of saying, the vocabulary used differs. Each Upanishad Rishi spoke in different language, though the truth experienced and conveyed is same. Okay. Now, this is enough. Shastra Samaptau Paramartha Tattva Stutyartham. Now, the last 100th mantra in which the Shastra Samapti is happening, then Paramartha Tattva Stuti is being done. No. What is that? Durdarshamati Gambhiram Ajam Samyam Visharadam Budva Padam Ananatvam Namaskurvo Yathavalam. buddhva, having awakened to the experience of. Padam buddhva means awaken to that experience. Which experience, sir? Ananatvam. There is no nana. That ananatvam, another one is ekameva advaya. And also ajatam. One alone is there, from that nothing is born. The nana never came from the one. One without second alone is always. Awaken to this, to that ananatva pada alone, namaskurmaha yatavalam, I am saluting. Okay, but the ananatva vastu is, always remember these two words, ajam samyam, ajam samyam. Ajam includes unborn, unmodifying, ungrowing, undecaying, and undying. Samyam is same and one without second. So ajam samyam ananatvam padam buddhva yatavalam namaskurmaha. But remember, to awaken to this ananatva pada, which is said as ajam and samyam, for the sake of explanation, is durdarsham and atigambhir. It is durdarsham, therefore upadhis cannot reach there. Atigambhiram, therefore you should be ready to dissolve yourself in that. Gambhir means deep. A thing is in very deep means you should, to get that thing, you have to go deep into that. So I, the jiva, the effort putting individual, have to dissolve so much deep that he should disappear into that. Are you ready for that? Ati gambhira, deep dive. And Durdarsham is upadhis cannot be used. दूरदर्शन अतिगम, ही इज एक्सेप्टिंग, ही इज टेलिंग, बेटा मैं तो समझाया, तुम सुन लियो, बट तुमको पता है, मेरे को पता है, इट इज नॉट इजीली सीएबल. सुदर्शम, it is ati gambhiram. Durdarsham is at the intellectual understanding level itself is difficult. Gambhiram is experience to or be difficult. Is it not? The subtlest intellect alone can understand it, not the intellect which is sold out to the mana and indriyas. So to get the subtlest intellect and use it and understand is so difficult, that is called durdarsh. Then the ego jiva of me should dissolve himself for the experience of infinite. But we are afraid of dropping that ego, therefore ati gambhira. Is it not? 2 सीढ़ियों से कूदोगे, कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है. 5 सीढ़ियों से कूदो, you can feel it's okay. 8 सीढ़ियों से, then if you are long jumper, you can do. But if he told that jump from 10 stories, अति गंभीरम, अम्मो मैं नहीं कर सकता. So to, in every other sadhana, the jiva bhava, ego is sustained. चलता हो. But when you have to experience that ekameva atma, the jiva bhava has to be dropped, and you are at such a height level of ego, and you have to drop it to experience the self, which is like a very deep bottom. And उसको देख के डर लगता है हमको, इतना नीचे मैं नहीं कूद सकता हूँ. इन्हें मैं अपने ईगो को नहीं छोड़ सकता हूँ. दैट्स कॉल्ड गंभीरता. You know, you have to resolve your individuality. That's the final price to be paid. But in us, the sense of insecurity without individuality will be so strong कि हम सब छोड़ने को तैयार, including we are ready to give up Upanishads, Brahma, even Bhagavan, not the ego. That is why it's called Ati Gambhir. That's why up to the level of Durdarsham crossing, many reach. That they make their intellect sharper and subtler by many lives of variety of upasanas. And in this life, using that intellect, they may study under a very highly qualified guru, entire shastras, and they have reached that Durdarsha, say Sudarshanam, intellectually fully comprehended, doubtless. All Upanishad mugged up, every word of every Upanishad understood, that also with Bhashya, with Karika, with Tika, सब है. Though they from Durdarsha to Sudarsha they came. Don't you see the people, the great high level of philosophers, they, for them the philosophy is like, चुटकी भर की बात. For us, पढ़ने को नहीं आता मंत्र. So they have crossed Durdarsha to Sudarsha. But did they experience it? No. Ati Gambhiram. not ready to sacrifice the individuality. They prefer to continue as a philosophers, respected, revered by the people, not ready to drop that identity to experience Brahma. That's a Ati Gambhira. Any treasure is like that, no? When you hunt the treasure, first of all, where it is, you don't know. Secondly, when you know it where it is, to reach to that, it is very difficult. In childhood, now we used to do all this. एक आधी इमली होते थे पेड़ में, दूरदर्शन ढूंढ ढूंढने के बाद वहां एक दिखता था. बट हाउ टू प्लक इट अति गंभीरम, बिकॉज यू कांट क्लाइम टू दैट लेवल. कोई डंडा वहां तक पहुंचता नहीं, पत्थर लगता नहीं. Any honey also behave. Durdarsham, you have to don't do it. But Ati Gambiram, you have to very carefully take it out. And the mangoes, we had lot of fun in mango. बहुत हम तोड़ के ले जाते थे, एक आध बच्चे रहते थे पेड़ पे, तो हमको उनको तोड़ना है. पहले तो वो उधर होता है, पत्तों के बीच में, डालियों के बीच है. Somewhere it is Ati Gambiram. कितना struggle for 2-3 hours we do. Sometimes the stone touches that mango, but it never falls down. And you can't climb to the tree. There's a fear always. Young children. Did you do all that natak or not? हमने तो बहुत किया बाबा. मजा, if I remember all those days. And when with that stone little bigger, one small mango, बड़े तो गिरते नहीं. It's that day is a Nobel Prize winning with that ignoble action. That much joy. To conceive that I become civil servant, it's a durdarsh. But to practice and reach is Ati Gambhir. In the same way, one among millions are given this chance to study the Ekameva Advayam Tattva through Mandukya and Karika. You and I are in that category. But Ati Gambhiram, we want to study more Upanishad, we want to study all Purana, Itihasa. We are not ready right now to leave all that and enter into it. That's called Gambhirata. इसके बाद और क्या है बताओ, उपनिषद मांडुक्य पढ़ने के बाद. बट डू यू नो, डू एंड आई एम टेलिंग आउट माई ओन सेल्फ. मैं खुद ही अब छोड़कर गंभीर आत्मा में नहीं जाना है, मुझे और एक उपनिषद पढ़ना है, पढ़ाना है. Knowingly it is. That is the gambhirata in that. Whatever the reasons you mentioned them. So durdarsham, dukkhena darshanam asya iti durdarsham. Why asti na asti iti chatushkoti varjitatvat durvignayam iti arthaha. Because it is not substantially spoken as asti or nasti. It is very tough that way to convince or explain. Atha eva ati gambhiram means duspravesham mahasamudravat. That's what I said. It's very deep, like a huge ocean where you have to delve. Akruta prajnaihi iti artha means those whose prajna has not awakened. The prajna, we call it as what? Sublime, subtle conscience, let us say. The sixth sense, we can say. Just like words, it's not like that. Akruta prajna. Prajna ka jagrati jisko hua hai. Intuitive vision, it is called in the Shastra, in Vedanta. Not the intellectual vision. Intellectual vision also a little lower. And the mind's vision and the vision of the senses, no. Intuitive vision, which is developed not only by repeated deep study of Shastra, but more than that, the Krupa of Bhagavan and Guru happened, then it happens. Intuitive mind. That is called Akruta Prajna. Usko to gambhir nahi. Both gambhir hai, like a big samudra. What is the gambhirata in the samudra? Seeing that vast in the samudra, you may feel happy. But ask jaake usme तैर के आओ. You will be only at the periphery only. If you try to go inside, you will die only. But only a rare one who can swim in the samudra, that also was sometime to some distance. Even the big swimmers also don't take risk of, because the whirlpools, it's very dangerous. छोटा आदमी कुछ नहीं है उस बड़े समुद्र के सामने, वो डूबेगा ही वो. In the same way, like samudravat for akruta prajna, this is atigambhiram. Okay, and ajam samyam vishardam is said. Now idruk padam And this self, ananatvam, where there is no nanatvam, nanatvarjitam, buddha. Buddha means avagamya. What is the meaning of avagamya? Tad bhutaha santaha, becoming one with it. Means recognizing that that was always me. Santaha namaskurmaha, we do salutation. To whom? Tasmai padaya. To that self we salute. So we salute nobody but only the Ekameva Dvayam Padam. And that salutation to Ekameva Dvayam Padam is done by experiencing it. Experience is done by rejecting all the Nana. And then Avyavaharyam api, Avyavaharyam api, though there is no Vyavahara of doing Namaskar, etc., possible to that self, because it's not other than me, yet Vyavahara Gocharatam apadya. Just out of our so much of concern or the love or respect or joy or gratitude, we just bring it to the objective level of cognition for the sake of respecting our namaskara, for the sake of expressing our namaskara. So, yatha balam, yatha shakti, we do namaskara. Like Guru is Param Brahma, but we visualize Guru in that photo or picture, or even he is standing in the form of the Deha, Yatha Shakti Yatha Phala, we do to Upasana to. Otherwise, Guru cannot be done the Upasana because he is not other than your own self. But we see him in the picture or in the idol or in the Paduka, then we do it. In the same way, Vyavahara Gocharatam Apadya, though Avyavaharyam, but still doing so, Yatha Shakti, we do Namaskara. Because in the beginning also, the Namaskara saying, the Startuva, Yevala Karakami, and the first one also, as a tradition, we are expressing our gratitude through salutation to the Pada by experiencing it. Experiencing itself is one Pada, there is a Namaskaram, but traditionally a Namaskara is required, therefore, that self we are as if objectifying for the sake of Namaskara, only that much, then again it is one with us. In this way, iti Srimad iti Gaudapadya Karika Sahita Mandukya Upanishadi Chaturtham ALAATHA Shanti Prakaranam. This is how, by God's Guru's grace, these 100 mantras of this ALAATHA Shanti also we have seen. And again, it cannot be conclusion at all, so there are not much celebrations we can have. One joy is there that we could chant every shloka and every sentence of Vash. But it's only a beginning. You have to keep on reading, studying, etc. etc. लाइफ लॉन्ग क्या जितने भी जन्म पढ़ते रहो उससे कोई ज्यादा समापन समारोह नहीं होगा ये तो आरंभ समारोह ही है. Now for his expressing his own gratitude, now Karikakara expressed his salutation to the Pada. Now Bhashakara is expressing his salutations to the Karikakara, that is Paramaguru Gaudapada ji, in these 3 shlokas. Such a beautiful mantras they are. So we will chant all 3. No, we'll chant for the end. We'll see just first mantra today. Tomorrow, without any other talk, straight away the second and third mantra meaning we do. Then entire Upanishad with the earlier 2 mantras and last 3 mantras we Parayan karenge. Then we do a Shanti. Then we take up our Taittiriya also tomorrow for 10 minutes. That will be our tomorrow's agenda. Because tomorrow 6th May is Bhagavan Sri Adi Shankara Jayanti. So he and his Paramaguru, their blessings only was the cause for us to study the Mandukya and the earlier Upanishads also. So tomorrow being such an actual day, we never planned it. It came like that. Why not make use of it? So offering of this Mandukya and invoking his grace for study of Taittiriya, both of them we do tomorrow. So now the first mantra, Ajamapi Jani Yogam Prapadaishwarya Yogat Agati Chagati Mattam Prapadekam Hyanekam विविध विषय धर्मग्राहि मुग्धे क्षणानाम प्रणत भय विहंतृ ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोस्मि प्रणत भय विहंतृ ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोस्मि. So in this mantra, the Bhashyakara is doing namaskara to the Brahma Pada. Second, third, he does namaskara to his Parama Guru. See, that one, Brahma yat tat nataha asmi. To that Brahma, my salutations. And what is that Brahma to which you are doing salutations is Pranata Bhaya Vihantru, the remover of all the fears when one is fully saluting, surrendering to that Brahma. सो जो प्रणाम करते हैं उनके सारे भय को दूर करने वाले ऐसे ब्रह्म का मैं नमस्कार कर रहा हूँ. इट्स वेरी ब्यूटीफुल पोएटिक डिवोशनल वे ऑफ सेइंग, but it has very deeper sublime spiritual experience or understanding. All that we are not touching it, but we are only explaining the literal meaning. Tad Brahma yat pranata bhaya nihantru natosmi. That Brahma which removes all the fear, for the one who surrenders to it or namaskara does to him, removes all the fear, to him my salutation. And the same Brahma, the one who has not studied and surrendered, therefore not experienced, is taken by the avidyagrasta ajnanis in the form of the jagat ityadi. That is what I explained in the first three mantras, three lines. First one is what? So, first three lines are the drushti of the ajnani. The fourth line is the drushti of jnani about the Brahma Tattva. For the jnani, the drushti is he is me. I have experienced it, and I am saluting it by expressing I am extending my gratitude by saluting. Pranata vai vihantru Brahma yatana tosmi. Now, what is the drushti from of the ignorant about the self form? What is that? Ajamapi janiyogam prapatu. It is unborn, but appears to be have taken birth. How the birth of the Paramatma happened? In the form of the Dvaita Jagat. And how that Dvaita Jagat is born out of Paramatma, called as Aishwarya Yoga. Aishwarya Yoga means the Ishwariya Maya Shakti. So, Maya did not create the Jagat from Bhagavan, Paramatma. Maya made Paramatma appear as the Jagat. So, those who are in the Jagat are under influence of Maya. Those who are under influence of Maya, they take the Paramatma as the Dvaitatmaka Jagatu. So, for them, the world is existing, world is born. Ajamapi janiyogam prapatu aishwarya yogat. Then agaticha gatimatu. Though it is non-moving, but it is taken as moving. Moving means modifiable, changeable, etc. Agaticha gatimatu. Then tam prapat ekam hi anekam. It is one without second, but it is taken as more than one. So that self which is taken as many, though it is one by the ignorant, that self which never moves, though never moves, but appearing as moving, that self which is never born, but appearing to is born because of Maya. So that self which is Sushti Sthiti Laya Rahita, but because of the Maya, appearing in the form of Srushti, called as Srushti, and maintained and then they dissolve. तो वो परमात्मा जिनमें सृष्टि स्थिति लय है नहीं है, लेकिन सृष्टि स्थिति लय का भान जिस माया से हो रहा है, फॉर द इग्नोरेंट पीपल, टू दैट ब्रह्मा आई एम डूइंग नमस्कार. बट फॉर द ज्ञानी इट इज जस्ट प्रणत भय विहंत्रो ब्रह्म तत्नतोस्मि. देन विविध विषय धर्म ग्राह ईक्ष ग्राह ग्राही मुग्ध ईक्षणानाम. एंड हु आर द पीपल whose ikshanas are mugdha, mohita, whose visions are deluded. Why? Vividha Vishaya Dharma Graha. Their attention is only in doing the grahanam of the Vishayas which are in multiplicity or plenty. मल्टीप्लिसिटी प्लेंटी को देखने वाले दृष्टि के कारण जिनको परमात्मा सृष्ट हुए जगत के रूप में चल रहे हैं, ऐसा जो बताया जा रहा है, लेकिन एक्चुअली वो वैसा नहीं है. ही इज ओनली द रिवीलर टू दोस पीपल हु आर प्रणता and removes all the fear. To that Brahma my namaskaram. So the third line is important here. Vividha Veshaya Dharma Grahi Mugdha Ikshananam. Grahi or Graha. For those people whose vision is Mugdha, Mohita, because of Vividha Vishaya Dharma, in the multiplicity. For them, the Brahman is said to be created as a world. But for those who have surrendered to Brahma Tattva through Upanishad, Bhaya Nihantru, Bhaya remove karega. Kyun? He will reveal the Ekamevadvyam Anubhuti to that Brahma. That Brahma which is appearing as born, moving, modified for the deluded people. That Brahma which removes the fear for the one who has surrendered to it by revealing its one without second nature. To that Brahma my salutations. So beautiful mantras they are. How beautiful. The next two also, while doing pranam to the Karika Kara, Vashvasa revels in his devotion. So those two mantras, maybe 7 or 10 minutes. Tomorrow we will study on Shankara Jayanti. And kal I may take 10-15 minutes ज़्यादा. We have this and we have to do Vidurniti also. Be prepared. Thank you. Sarvam Sri Adi Shankara Karikakara Manduka Rishi Sharanaravindarpanamastu. Chant the mantras Prajna Vaishaka Veda Kshubita Jalanidher Veda Namnontarastam Bhutanyalokyamagnani Avirata Jananagra Gore Samudre Karunya Duddhataramrutamidam Amarair Durlabam Bhutaheto Yastam Pujya Vipujyam Paramagurumamum पादपातैर्नतोऽस्मि यत्प्रज्ञालोकभासा प्रत्यतिमगमत् स्वान्तमोहान्धकारः मज्जोन्मज्जच्च घोरैः असकृतुवजनो धन्वतित्रासने मे यत्पादावाश्रितानां श्रुतिसमविनयप्राप्तिरग्राह्यमोघा तत्पादौ पावनीयौ भवभयविनिधौ सर्वभावैर्नमस्ये इति श्रीमत् परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्यस्य गोविन्द भगवत्पूज्यपादशिष्यस्य श्रीमत् शंकर भगवतः कृतौ माण्डुक्य उपनिषदः गौडपादीय कारिकाणां च भाष्ये चतुर्थम् अलाथ शांति प्रकरणं सम्पूर्णम्. This again we'll chant tomorrow and conclude. Thank you. So beautiful thing. Om 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 Om. To me, the satisfaction is at least we could open our mouth and chant. We touched upon it. And that's how we are selected or blessed by the entire Guru Parampara, the Guru Tattva, the Adi Guru Dakshinamurti, Mula Guru Dakshinamurti, and Paramaguru, Gaudapada, the Adi Guru, Shankara, Swaguru, Gurudev. They have blessed us. That feeling is so satisfactory that they allowed us to come to this text and just at least browse through. That's our gratitude. That's our feeling. And further, they will bless us. Or kya? Okay. Now we'll study 10 minutes our Vidurniti.